Thus far, almost everything I've said about God could be echoed by a faithful Jew or Muslim, believers in the one God. So what is it that makes the Christian doctrine of God distinctive? The answer is given every time we make the sign of the cross, when we invoke the three divine persons, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. God is one, but God is not monolithically one. Rather, in His unity, He's a communion, a family of love. Where does this doctrine come from? As usual, the touchstone is Jesus. Jesus consistently referred to Himself as one who was sent by the Father. Well, in this regard, He would seem little different than, say, Abraham or Moses or Isaiah. But there was something altogether unique about Jesus, something that set Him apart from those figures. He spoke and acted in the very person of God. Therefore, Jesus was sent by another whom He acknowledged as divine, and yet He Himself was divine. More to it, Jesus promised that He and His Father would send another advocate, a Spirit, who would lead the church into the fullness of truth. It was this divine Spirit who invaded the church at Pentecost and who sustained the early Christian community. The very first Christians were all Jews, trained in the strict monotheism of Israel. They all held passionately to the great Shema declaration from the 6th chapter of Deuteronomy. Hear, O Israel, the Lord your God is Lord alone. And yet they knew that the one God had revealed something new through Jesus and the Spirit. None of the pioneers of the faith summed up this novelty more succinctly than St. John, who in his first letter said simply, God is love. He wasn't defending the proposition that God has love, or that love is one of God's attributes. Rather, he was saying that love names the very essence of God. And this means that God must be in His own life a play of lover, the Father, beloved, the Son, and shared love, the Holy Spirit. What the Bible bequeathed to the great tradition, therefore, was a tension, a dilemma. How to reconcile the Shema with the claim that God is love? Well, it took several centuries for some of the greatest minds in the history of the church to work out that relationship. Around the year 400, one of the greatest geniuses who ever lived, St. Augustine of Hippo, wrote a great text called the De Trinitate, about the Trinity. In the 9th book of that treatise, Augustine proposed a fascinating analogy for the Trinity. He knew from the book of Genesis that we human beings have been made uniquely in the image and likeness of God. What's distinctive to us is the intellect. Therefore, Augustine sought to find within the very dynamics of the mind itself a mirror of the Trinity. Mens, notitia sui, amor sui. Mind, self-knowledge, self-love. The mind doesn't split into three, but the one mind subsists in three modalities or relations. So the Father is the mens of God, the primordial ground of the divine mind. The Son is the notitia sui of God, the self-possession of the Father. And the Spirit is the amor sui of God, the love breathed out between the Father and the Son. This means that God is one, but God subsists in a play of relationships, a give and take, a breathing in and a breathing out. I realize how abstract all this can sound, but actually it's not. Every time you say, "What was I thinking?" or "What was I doing?" you're exemplifying exactly what Augustine is talking about, because you're posing yourself to yourself as the object of your own question. You are simultaneously the subject and object of the same question. You haven't split into two things, but there are two dimensions to your own psychology. You know, you see it reflected in the languages. The expression in French for I wonder is je m'interroge. Literally, I ask me. Same thing in Spanish, yo me pregunto, I ask me. Again, you're not splitting into two, but you're identifying two modalities, two elements within your mind. Now, push it further. Suppose in the course of many long conversations with a good friend, or in the course of therapy or spiritual direction, you come to know yourself much more deeply. You then come to love yourself more thoroughly. Mens notitia sui amor sui. Mind, self-knowledge, self-love. Not three things, but three elements, three movements, three dynamics within the same self. That's the imago Trinitatis. That's the image of the Trinity that St. Augustine is talking about. You know, in the liturgy we use incense, and you put incense around the altar, and to some degree that symbolizes, our prayers going up to God. But our present Pope, Benedict XVI, said the incense also symbolizes how you're meant to block your vision, how smoke gets in your eyes and you can't see, and it blocks your approach to the altar. Well, that's part of theological language. It's meant to get in your eyes. It's meant to obfuscate a bit. It's meant to confuse you, because the minute you say, oh, I got it. Oh, yeah, I understand. So I see you, I see things in the world, and oh, and I understand God too. Then you don't have it. That isn't God. So Augustine's thing is, the minute you've got a clear concept, drop it. That isn't it. So theological language does have, to some degree, that purpose, to confound you. Very good example, of course, is that God is both three and one. God is supremely one, and God is a trinity of persons. Well, go figure. And that's part of the purpose of it, is to block the mind and to block the kind of eagle eye approach we have to things. Got it, see it, understand it. No, you don't when it comes to God.